Okay, so you're going to go through, and all your ladies during personal reflection time are going to walk through, and they're going to answer these 9 questions on their timeline without editing. So no editing. And this is only for them. They are not going to share that with you guys. Okay, that is only for them. And we are going to explain all of this to them before they leave. To go to their personal reflection time. So we're going to get up there and we're going to outline it all. So hopefully when they go, if they're listening and paying attention, if they've had coffee, if you keep the coffee full, then they're going to know when they go, we're going to answer these questions, and these are just for us, okay? Because I don't want them thinking when they're writing, somebody's going to see this, or I'm going to have to talk about this, because that's not the point. The point isn't to humiliate people. You know what I mean? The point is not to just destroy you. You know, we just want you to start the process of getting familiar with who you are in Jesus and where he's been in your life. So these 9 questions are all to be written out on your timeline, and the same goes for you guys, unedited. I am not going to look at this. Nobody's going to look at your timeline but you, unless you choose to share it. So this is just for you. But for small group, what they're going to then do once they filled out their timeline is they're going to go back, and right here at the bottom it says, now that you've completed your timeline, you're going to answer the following questions to be shared in your small group. And so they're going to answer these 8 questions. There's 5 there, and then 9 on, or maybe it's 9. 9 on, is that 8? Yeah, 8. And so I'm going to read through them real quick just to make sure everybody understands what is expected. The first one is there's going to be a theme that you see in your story. Themes are patterns of behavior, common experiences in different stages with similar meanings attached, and how different parts relate to each other. So for example, my theme for my story, I have 2 that I really have zeroed in on. And the first one is The Great Pretender, and the second one is Failure is Not an Option. So that means that the majority of my life, as far back as I can remember, I was not in a place where I could fail and it'd be okay. And so then what happened is I learned how to pretend really well, and in any given scenario. And so as I was going through my timeline, I started noticing I was scared of failure here. I was scared of failure here. I did that because I was afraid I was going to fail. That was because I was scared to death. I had anxiety because I was afraid. Like it became a theme. And then for pretending, that's obvious that I just learned how to be fine all the time. I'm fine, all the time. And so that kind of is my theme. And I think this is probably the one that you'll get questions about a lot, is what does that mean? What is a theme? And so we just want to make sure that you guys understand and are thinking, because you have to have all of this ready, because this is a part you're going to actually share as well. And then can you find a time Jesus became your Savior and you made the decision to follow him? What events or people from your timeline most influenced your formation? The formation part is who you are, how you see the world around you, and how to navigate circumstances. Were those influences positive, negative, healthy, or unhealthy? Where was God at work when you did not realize it? Where was God at work when you did realize it? Can you see areas of your life that were more difficult to write about than others, or that continue to carry shame, guilt, anger, or bondage? This is why they need to not edit their story, because when you start editing, that's when you need to know that's a shame area. That's an area of bondage. When you skim, when you have a hard time putting that pen to paper on that timeline, that's bondage. And we don't want to skim over that. We want to deal with it if we can while we're there with them. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. How does God want you to respond to your story? Does he want you to embrace it? Does he want you to submit areas that he needs to heal to him? Does he want you to look more closely at your sin cycles? Or does he want you to maybe see a passion or an area of calling in your life? Submission and looking at your sin cycles doesn't mean that you're going to resolve everything that you've struggled with in your life at the retreat. This is, like I said, we're planting seeds, and in the areas that we can get bondage released and freed, we're going to tackle those. But that doesn't mean that it's going to go away in a day, and we don't expect that at all. It's a process. So once you get there, Once you find your place, you're where you're supposed to be, then the first thing you're going to do, of course, is introduce yourself to your group because they are probably not going to know you. And I would be surprised if they did. I mean, it's possible. And you're just going to kind of give a little bit of who you are and where you're from. And then you're going to review the instructions for their time that they just had for personal reflection time. So you're going to review with them to make sure they know what's going on and to make sure they're all on the same page. So you'll say, okay guys, we just had our personal reflection time and you should have your timeline filled out and then you should have your 8 questions written out however you wanted to write them out to share with us. I kind of go over what they were supposed to do during their reflection time. And then once you go over that and make sure everybody has done what they're supposed to be done, that's when they may say, well, what was the theme? I didn't really know where they were going with that. Or I didn't quite see where God was not at work in my life. You know, that's where they may ask you for more detail. And you can do one of 2 things. You can answer that question right then, or you can say, well, I tell you what, when we're starting to go through our story, then we can help you there. So when you start sharing your story with others, we can help you. We'll watch for that with you, alongside
Yeah,
you.
and you might want to take notes just to make sure that you do go back to when it's their time to share their story. So just to kind of remind yourself that, you know, Susie over here said she needed to understand this better. So
Yeah. And you can tell them, this is why I'm taking notes. I just want y'all to know I'm taking notes. I'm not writing down your stuff. I'm just making mental notes to give you the best experience possible. And there's 5 minutes at the end of your time that you can also go back and ask these questions as well. Okay. Anything I'm not adding so far? Oh, coaches. This is where you may want to tell them that there are coaches that are going to be milling around, and they are there in case they need anything. Just they're there to kind of support you and the ladies as well, if necessary.
Yeah.
Don't forget to be sure to say everything that we say here stays here. And I said last time, and I'll say it again, that if I see things or hear things that were said at small group outside of that retreat, we will not have another Encourage retreat. We won't do it. We will not. I don't know what was said in small group. Anybody's. I don't have any idea. I don't know what happened in your group. I don't know the stories that were shared. I don't know your story. I don't know. Nobody said them because that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to be. So this is super, super, super important. And we will also affirm, and I may say that on that stage, that if I hear anything outside of this retreat, this will be the last one, because this is freedom. And you don't have freedom if you're scared and you can't trust anybody. So, and then finally, make sure that they have an open door for follow-up. And this is where your coach is again going to come in, because some women may be going through this and they are obviously stuck. And you may have a situation where you do have to stop and pray, but they can't quite get back on track. It's just too much. They're going through something. God's working them through something. And that's where you say, you know what? I'm going to flag my coach. She is my leader. And she will be one-on-one with you, and I feel like it would be a good opportunity for you to work through some of this. Let me just flag her really quickly. And you flag your coach, and they'll come, and they'll take her, and they'll pray with her, and talk her through, and work through, and that's why you have a coach there for you.